Hello, and welcome in to the swarm here on the Hive Media. Excited to be here today. I am JPJ, as you all know. Lots to talk about per usual today. Last Saturday, about a week ago, was Saturday night's main event. It was John Cena's last match. We're going to talk about the event. We're going to talk about what happened in the match, and we're going to talk about all the controversy for whatever reason about the finish and all that. Cena was also on Cody Rhodes' podcast this week, and he went into detail about his opinion of it that we'll kind of go through and read and do all that stuff. We'll check in on AEW. We're a couple weeks away from World's End, so we are building to World's End. We had a giant return Wednesday night. They were in Europe across the pond, and one Maxwell Jacob Friedman made his return. So we'll dive into that, kind of update the Continental Classic and kind of everything that happened on Dynamite. Then we will turn our attention to week 15. No, sorry, week 16? Yeah, there's three games left. Yeah, 16 in the NFL. And we'll kind of talk through that and things like that. So you know the drill. I'm excited to be here. We got lots to talk about. This Cena stuff is juicy, and we're going to dive right into that. But before we do, I want to talk to you about my pals over at W Energy, the clean energy drink. If you're an energy drink fan, if you need a little bit of boost, you got, semesters are finishing up. Christmas is in a week. New Year's is in a week. If you need a pick-me-up for your last final, or, you're gaming all weekend, whatever it is you're doing. If you need energy, our friends at W Energy are where you want to go. It is a clean energy drink, no sugars, no jitters. It's all clean energy, multiple flavors to choose from. So if you head over to their website, that is w.gg, and you type in that promo code, the Hive, all one word that you see floating around on that ticker there, you will get 10% off your order over at w.gg with our pals W Energy. So go check them out. W Energy, no jitters, no sugars, just clean energy. And as always, this episode of The Swarm is powered by our pals at W Energy. And you can see this little guy up here above me here. For the through Christmas, I believe, or maybe even through the rest of the month. I believe it's through Christmas. We are raising money for Pet Rescue Australia, just to make sure that, our little furry friends and pet friends can find homes and be treated okay, and get assistance where needed. As you can see, we've already raised, we are halfway to our goal of $1,000 Australian. We are at $549.48 Australian. So we're a little bit more than halfway to our goal. There are 6 days to go. So we are going through Christmas. If I could read. We are going through Christmas. I believe Josh said that he is matching everything up to $600. So we are very close to getting a full 100% match with Josh, but our goal is 1,000. So if you can donate or share it out, please do. It'd be a great help, and it's for a good cause. And so that's what we're doing through Christmas. So help us out if you can, and help out some beautiful, awesome pets and our animal friends. Maybe find some homes before the holidays. All right. Saturday night's main event, Washington, D.C. Whole event was good. We will touch on the other stuff, but obviously there's only one place to start. It is what the whole event was built around. It was John Cena's last match. He main evented the show going up against Gunther, and what I thought was a good match. Good back and forth. Gunther, using his power, and Cena, Cena just being the resilient Cena that we know, took a lot of punishment, but kept on coming. And then we get to the end. And the end of the match, Gunther gets a sleeper hold on. Cena breaks it once, Gunther gets it back on. Cena breaks it a second time. And then Gunther slaps on the sleeper hold again. And he has it on for a while. John's fighting. And he's fighting. And then you eventually see a small smile come across the face of John Cena. And he taps out. And his career ends with a tap out and a loss to Gunther. Then Gunther quickly gets out of the ring. You see Triple H and the rest of the roster get around the ring. Cena takes a bow and bows to all four sides of the arena. The crowd is chanting, "Thank you, Cena." He takes a bow. He takes off his shoes. He takes off his wristbands and all that. Leaves the ring. Walks up the ramp, high-fiving the fans. He turns around to look at Stu one more time. He gives his salute. And he says, "It has been a pleasure serving you all these years. Thank you." And he walks off into the sunset as the show faded to black. I thought this was perfection. That's what I thought. We'll dive into what, there was some controversy and the crowd there did not react well to it. But I thought that this was really a perfect ending. I thought it was poetic. I thought, he, for 25 years, 22 years, whatever it was, Cena told us never give up, and he never gave up. He hadn't tapped out in over 20 years. It's his last match. He's had a grueling last year where he's lost a decent amount of these matches that he's been in. You can see that and he's been very open saying, "I've lost a step, I don't want to, blah, blah, blah." And he fought off this guy who's stronger, younger, bigger for 20 plus minutes in the match. And then at the end, you see the smile because he knows it's over and he taps out. I loved it. Loved the finish. Liked the match. Loved the finish. And I thought it was a very fitting way for someone like Cena to go out. But there are a lot of people, including the majority of people in that arena, that did not agree. As Triple H and Stephanie kind of led the way down the ramp and the rest of the roster followed as they circled the ring and kind of gave Cena his flowers with the audience. But when Triple H was coming out, he was getting heavily booed. When Cena tapped, the arena, you could hear a pin drop. It was almost like the air was they just pulled a pin out and the air just sucked out of the arena. Now, again, I don't know what the people in the arena were expecting. I felt like it was a pretty obvious thing that Cena was going to lose. We're going to dive into the tap out via pass, whatever. But I don't understand, unless you're a young kid, I don't understand how anybody thought that Cena was going to win that match. So I wanted him to tap out, and I thought what they did was 100% the right decision. That's why I loved it, because I thought that that's how that should have went. Because not that Gunther really needed the rub, because he's already had quite the career, but he is elevated now to absolutely the biggest heel in the company, maybe the biggest heel in all of pro wrestling currently, right now, in this moment. And, now it all depends on what they do with them now. The aftermath is going to end up dictating how good of and he was the right choice, in my opinion. And I just feel like, he was 100% the right choice, and how it went down was the right decision. But if they flub the aftermath here, which, if you're looking at this calendar year, there's quite a few big things that WWE has done where they haven't really followed up well. Jey Uso winning the world title after that was kind of a flub. They didn't really give him anything the fans sunk their teeth into. Partly, not all their fault. Partly, I think it was on him too, but he got shit creative. John Cena's heel turn, the moment itself, tremendous. One of the all-time great moments. But afterwards, yikes. Now, they corrected course, I feel like, and I feel like in totality, the last year was pretty good. But I mean, they didn't have much plans. And again, things, and Cena touched this a little bit in the podcast with Cody, which if you have yourself a couple hours, I would recommend that. I would recommend listening to that. That's a long form Cena, and he's talking to one of the boys. He's still John Cena, and he knows how to answer a question better than anybody. In he answers questions without answering a damn thing. Like he's mastered that. But I did feel like we got more than a few like actual tidbits from Cena in this, so I would recommend checking that out. But yeah, so Triple H gets heavily booed. At one point, they were chanting "F you, Triple H," like "F you," And I was like, okay, you voice your displeasure. You paid money. You paid for that ticket, and that was a big ticket. That was a lot of money people paid for. If you didn't like it, okay, you can boo. When you start doing those chants in this moment where it should be about Cena, you're making it about you a little bit. So, there'll be a different time for you to do that. Like, maybe not in this exact moment where Cena's about to take his final bow. You're chanting "F you, Triple H" and making it like, come on. And at the end of the day, whether you loved it or you hated it, Cena, this is what Cena wanted. Cena wanted to go out that way. It was his choice to go out that way. He chose or agreed to do it this way, which at the end of the day, what more do you need? Whether you liked it or not, what more do you need to have that kind of reaction when you know that this is the way Cena wanted it to go? But whole hella controversy, people arguing all over social media is going back and forth. Oh, he shouldn't have tapped out. He should have passed out. John Cena told us to never give up for 20 plus years, and then he gave up and all this stuff. And I'm looking at it going, yeah, because listen, he was telling you for 20 years to never give up. All right, he's done. He's at the end. He's 50. Now, in real life, that's not the end, but in wrestling life, it was his end. And you know what happens at the end? Whether it's real life, wrestling life, whatever, you die. You die. So at some point, we all tap out. That's how that works. And that's how I took it. That's why I thought when I saw the smile, and he talks about it, and when he talked about it, when he talked, and I have the quotes here, I'm going to read them. When he talked about it with Cody, as I was listening to it, I was like, that is exactly how I interpreted it when I was watching it live with Josh here. We did a watch along here last week for it. And I think me and Josh we took it in and we reacted to it the exact way that Cena explains how or why what he was thinking. Again, not everybody thinks the same, but I feel like it was a pretty, anyway. But this is Cena's comments with Cody on what do you want to talk about. So Cody asked him, what he envisioned from it. And this is a quote. He goes, "I envisioned something beautiful. Saturday far exceeded whatever was in my heart and soul, so I know I'm out there one last time. They had to move the side ramps in to put more seats. It was almost like a fire hazard to go down the ramp. You cannot fit anymore. I know it's an old wrestler story, but I'm setting the stage for why I was so filled with joy. You can't fit any more people in there. Going up to this event, I made sure everyone I talked to, all the podcasts I did, I'm like, hey, I know you may not think I'm going to retire. I am. I'm comfortable with that. Please just get the closure you need. So now I'm out there. They hate the guy I'm working with. They universally cheer me. That is fucking rare. And for that last 5 minutes, everything I preach about story and drama and having a conversation with the audience, the ones I love are in the front row. I know my colleagues are watching on the monitor back there. We're just in a sleeper hold, man. We're just in a sleeper hold. But we're having that conversation with the audience." And then Cody kind of chimes in and he says, he talks about the controversy, and the disappointment and blah, blah, blah for some fans. He goes, "So I essentially take my last breath. I have struggled. If you think of somebody, the natural causes scenario, or however we picture a loss in our life, all of us have been through it. They struggle, they struggle, they struggle. They hang on just long enough to make sure to say goodbye to everybody that's been meaningful in their lives. And that whole day was so many unbelievably vulnerable, meaningful conversations. And then you realize I've connected with everybody I love. Physically, I feel great. I think it's time to take that last breath. And that's that. I hate to keep going back morbidly to obituaries, but this person died peacefully. And knowing that, like, man, we are in a good place. We're going to be great going forward. The bottom of the t-shirt says, I gave everything. Thank you for everything. And that one moment, that was that, going out peacefully. I mean, I what else? If that doesn't explain why it went down the way it is, and if that's not a perfect, I mean, that's the man himself telling you, hey, this is why I wanted this to happen that way, because this is how I felt. I'm not coming back. I'm not going to be one of those guys that has a match 5 years from now. I'm done, dude. I'm done. He's going to be around, clearly. But, like, I'm done. And that was me. This character is dead now. And he says it in the Cody. He says it in the Cody interview. He says it. He goes, this guy's dead. Like, this character's dead. It's over. It's over. He's gone. And that was that, you know. And if, you know, he says he apologizes for getting morbid about it, but, like, you've seen that in if you've experienced it in real life or movies or TV shows. But, like, a lot of times the people, when, you know, when they're going, they do smile right before they go because they're at peace. And that's what it is. Whatever they see or whatever feeling comes over them, they smile. And then that's it. It's boom. You know? So, I mean, I thought it was perfect. I thought it was poetic. I thought it was a good way to wrap up and really a one-of-a-kind career. And I wasn't always a Cena guy. I was on the Cena sucks side of things for a majority of my wrestling fandom and of his career. But, I mean, listen, he 20 plus straight years as the top guy through some real dark times. Not as dark as, like, you know, the bad stuff that's off camera, but, like, those mid 20, like, he was the guy that was out there every week carrying the flag when the creative was bankrupt for a long time. And he did it with a smile on his face, admirably, and to the best of what he needed to do in that character and for that company. And to be at the top for that long, I don't think wrestling's different now. I don't think we're ever going to see a career like Cena again, ever again. And it's a one in a lifetime career, and he's a one in a lifetime guy. I personally wouldn't have him as the greatest of all time, but there's no debate that he is on the however you want to call it, the short discussion, in the discussion, Mount Rushmore, whatever. He is 100% up there. He is 100% up there. He is one of the all-time greats. And that's not even including what he does, because really the real reason why everyone should be calling him the GOAT is the Make-A-Wish stuff and the stuff that he does. And he did them that day. Up to his very last day, he was meeting Make-A-Wish kids in the back in D.C., and there was a couple videos they released that were just sad but heartwarming, and they just, you know, he's an A-plus guy, man. From all accounts, he's an A-plus guy, and the stuff that he does with the kids and the Make-A-Wish, it's just, that's really why he's probably the GOAT. Granted more wishes than anyone ever in the history of Make-A-Wish. Like, that's just, he doesn't have to do that. He doesn't have to do that. And I get it, when you're the top guy, you have obligations, but he doesn't have to do it that, like, he doesn't. And he does, because that's what matters to him. So, you know, one of the all-time greats ending his career, and what I thought was the perfect way to do so. And again, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but if you thought otherwise, you're wrong. Hate to tell you, you're wrong. All right. The rest of the show was very good. It was a 4-match card, so the show opened with Cody going up against Obafemi. And my God, man, Obafemi walking out, dude. That dude, come on, man. Come on, man. That guy, and they talked about Obafemi, and Cena even said that guy's going to be a 4, like, that's a dude. And he even said to Cody, like, that's probably not the last time you're going to face that guy. And Cody was like, no. And then Cena was like, that guy's going to be, he's got a career ahead of him. Like, that guy is, yeah. This match was very short, and they gave us a bullshit finish, which obviously angered me. You can go back and rewatch the watch along. Me and Josh were both not happy, but I was pissed. The match was just getting going. Like, they did the slow kind of build up with Oba's power and Cody kind of doing that dynamic. And then they started going, man. And when they started going, it was like, oh, this is good. And Oba was hanging, and it looked like Oba was, and then Drew McIntyre shows up, and he just starts attacking Cody, and the match is thrown out. It's a DQ, and then bullshit. They had enough. Listen, it's non-title. Fucking make somebody. What? How does that hurt Cody at all? Non-title. You could have had a ref bump, and you could have had Drew McIntyre show up and Claymore Cody's head off, and then Oba hits his finisher and gets the 1, 2, 3. And then you could have had Drew get in the ring and beat down Cody, and then Oba kind of pulled Drew off, and they have their fate. You could have done everything you did to further the Drew Cody story and kind of give the tease of Oba. You could have done all that and fucking made somebody by having Oba pin the WWE champion, which wouldn't have hurt Cody at all. Non-title, who gives a shit? And they just did a fucking lazy bullshit finish. Oh, infuriating. Infuriating to me. Like, what does it matter? Obafemi should have won that match. He should have won that match. And that is a crime that he didn't. That is a crime that he didn't. It's just whatever, man. I was very disappointed. Not by the match, but I was very disappointed. I was disappointed by the length of the match. But now when you see the finish, you know why, because it was horseshit. But I was very disappointed by that. They should have let them go, and Oba should have beat him. And then we get the exact opposite of that, though, where the very next match is Sol Ruka, who, again, future megastar, like star, like Oba, like just a star. She went up against Bayley. And this was the exact opposite, because this was a great match. But this was Bayley doing everything to make Sol Ruka, and Sol Ruka is a star, and she's great. But she did everything to make this all about Sol Ruka, while still being Bayley and still looking awesome as Bayley. They put the shine on Sol Ruka so hard in this match. And Sol Ruka beat Bayley and beat her fair and square. And that's the way that should have gone. That's the way that should have gone. Bayley was awesome in this match. She 100% helped make Sol and give her that moment. Sol Ruka is incredible. And she's going to be, whenever they want to pull that trigger and get her on the main roster, she's a star right away. This was a really good match. I would probably say, in my opinion, it was the best match on the show, although the tag match that we're going to talk about was insane. But this was my favorite match on the show. You know how I feel about Bayley, but I thought Sol Ruka was great. Zarya was there to add that little intrigue. I just thought that this was just exactly what it should have been. It was a showcase, and Bayley doing everything to make Sol look like $1 million. And yeah, it was just perfect to me. It was perfect. And then we had the tag match. It was Leon Slater and Javon Evans going up against the Raw Tag Team Champions AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. And this match was as damn good as you thought it was going to be. Awesome match. Javon Evans and Leon Slater, for their age, we say it all the time, every time we talk about them, those dudes are incredible. And AJ's AJ. Can have a, I don't even know if he's had a bad match in the last 20 years as well. And Dragon Lee is great too. This match was awesome. High flying, power. It just had everything. AJ did slip and fall on the he was doing a forearm and he kind of slipped on the rope there that they played into the finish. I think he was okay though. But he looked like he was shaking it off a little bit. But yeah, and AJ and Dragon Lee get the victory, which I feel going into it, I thought this was the only match that the WWE side, the main roster side, was going to win. But yeah, no, great. It was great stuff. And then obviously we talked about the Cena stuff at length at the start of the show. Before we dived into that, but I thought it was a very strong Saturday night's main event. I thought it was one of the stronger ones in a while, and so I very much enjoyed it. So, what we're gonna do is, because there was some stuff on Raw, because I thought Raw was I thought Raw was good. And the thing that I liked about Raw, to be honest with you, was I thought it was a little aggressive this week. There was some foul language. We got a good CM Punk promo, where he was like actually like old CM Punk. None of the oh, I'm happy to be here. Sorry, I'm just looking up. I'm trying to find my notes. There it is. Yeah, I think this is it. Yeah, boom, baby. So I thought Raw was really good. And Raw opened up with Gunther, as it should. Comes out to a chorus of boos. Crowd is chanting, Gunther sucks. You tapped out to him, which the crowd is chanting, you tapped out to Gunther, who 2 days earlier tapped out John Cena. The hell are you talking about? Anyway. So Gunther says, hey, I did what I had to do. And he goes, I made John Cena give up. And he goes, and when he gave up, he tapped out like a little bitch. And then the crowd just, merciful, like just booing the shit out of him. He drops the mic, goes halfway up the ramp, turns around, goes to the ring, goes on the turnbuckle. Crowd's losing this shit even louder. You suck chants are all going on. So he's just laughing, and he walks up the stage, and then he turns back around again, and he goes in the ring, and he grabs the mic, and he goes, I made John Cena tap out like a little bitch. And the crowd is just, and he goes, and it's my time now. He goes, I will forever be the man that made John Cena give up. And then he leaves, and he's like really, really doing the big stroll and laughing. He's really hamming it up. And then he makes it through Gorilla. This time the camera follows him. And he makes it through Gorilla. He goes all the way through the arena, and he runs into Alpha Academy. Otis says, you must feel really good. Like in like a shame, you must feel really good. And Gunther goes, you're right, I do feel pretty good. And he starts laughing, and he keeps on walking. Then he runs into Ron Killings, R-Truth. R-Truth calls him a piece of trash. Gunther then kind of like goes like, he goes, think what you like. I beat the guy. And he walks away. Then Adam Pearce rolls up, and he goes, are you proud of walking over John Cena's legacy like that? And Gunther goes, yeah. And Pearce says, he goes, that doesn't make, and this was one of the aggressive parts. He goes, that doesn't make you the ring general. It makes you an asshole. And he said asshole. I was like, oh, all right. And then Gunther goes, anything else here? And Pearce goes, no. He goes, but get out of my building. You're out. Find the exit. So Gunther leaves. Camera's following him. And as he walks up to his car, AJ Styles is leaning on the car. And Gunther goes over to him. He goes, "You got something you want to say?" And AJ goes, he doesn't say anything. He just moves and he just kind of points at the door like, there you go. There's your car. So Gunther gets in the car. And before he drives away, he stops and he rolls down the window. And AJ's still there. And he goes, "Hey, AJ." And he gets this big smile on his face. And he just goes, and he starts laughing and drives off. And I nearly peed my pants. That was hilarious. That was hilarious. And that was it. That was Gunther's first, the only time we see him on the night, opening the show. I loved it. I thought, Gunther usually doesn't get like hokey and like funny, over the top funny like that. That's not in his style, but I liked it. I thought he did it really well. He was, super cocky, but like just, I loved it. I loved it. Again, we got to see where it goes before we can fully judge everything. But I thought Saturday and night one on Raw, big okay. Big okay. Usos beat the New Day in a matchup of, two great rivals there. So we saw that. We saw a women's Intercontinental Championship match. It was Maxine Dupree versus Ivy Nile. Pretty decent match between the two. They got some time. I thought it was pretty good. I liked Maxine's new aggression at times in the match. She's been training with Natty and all that stuff. At one point, I think she had an ankle lock on and she kept it on like 3 or 4 different times through, like Ivy was trying to escape and she just kind of kept on reversing it and holding on to it, which was a nice little segment of the match. And at the end of the day, Ivy Nile tapped out and Maxine got her with the ankle lock, but she brought her to the ground and kind of grapevined her a little bit. It was very good. It was very, very good. Javon Evans was there backstage. He had a little thing with the Los Americanos. And then they said that next week, it's going to be Javon and one of the Americanos. I believe Rayo is going to be fighting him. So that was good. And then we got to this CM Punk promo. This was a good CM Punk promo. This was good stuff. He comes out. He says he was forced to miss the 2 consecutive Raws because people that are smarter than him wouldn't clear him to fight or fly. He goes, but getting hurt wasn't as painful as sitting home and listening to Braun Breaker talk about him. He calls Braun a cross-eyed Nepo baby. He says he knows Smarts doesn't run in his family, but he signed up for war games, not board games. He goes, your team won. You got the audacity to stand there and talk about how easy it is to pin CM Punk. And you talk about how you want 2011 CM Punk. He goes, when you can't handle 2025 CM Punk. That was a good line. He goes, without a lot of help from your friends. He goes, assists from Lesnar with an F5 or Bronson Reed Tsunami or Drew McIntyre splitting my head open off the cage. He goes, or help from your masked man. He goes, so congrats. You pinned me. You earned your shot, but you didn't do it alone. He goes, I've been here many times, and you just asked how many times Heyman gassed up young talent a little too much too soon, and they wilted under the big lights. He goes, if I had a dime every time he's been across some hot young talent gassed up as the next big thing, I'd have a pocket full of dimes. And then he goes, and if you ever mention my wife again, it goes from business to personal, and I'll rip your eyes out of your head and piss on your single-digit IQ brain. Yeah, it was good. And that got the crowd riled up. That was like, oh. So yeah, he's saying piss. They were just aggressive tonight. I feel like they were being more... they weren't asshole kind, but they weren't swearing all the time, but they were just being aggressive with their verbiage. He goes, I'd tell you to show up alone on January 5th January 5th to test yourself one-on-one against the best in the world, but I know you won't do it because you don't have the heart or the belief in yourself. So go ahead, bring Heyman, the Vision, the Masked Man, the National Guard. He goes, hell, call up your dumb father and his dumber brother Scott, because you're going to need all the help you can get to stand a snowball's chance in hell of beating me for the title. The Steiner brothers should 100% be there on January 5th. Then Punk says, when I win, you'll wake up and see Heyman's gone on to the next big thing, and your mystery man hasn't shown his face. All you'll have left is Dumb and Dumber. And even with Steiner math, GTS equals 1, 2, 3. You lose, I win, and still world heavyweight champion and best in the world. And he drops the mic and leaves. Great promo. That's a CM Punk I'm talking about. I'd like to see him a bit more than we do. I like to see him a bit more than we do. That was a great promo from Punk. We then had a very good Women's World Championship match. A little short. Again, bullshit finish. But this one at least furthered a story, so I wasn't as negative about this as I am about the bullshit finishes, but again, you could have done what you did and still gave me a winner. And the amount of DQ finishes we're seeing, come on. It's just lazy. It's lazy booking. But it was Raquel Rodriguez, Stephanie McCurr, and these two ladies, they did the damn thing. Raquel has been excellent all year. She's been excellent all year, and Stephanie's one of the best in the world. This was a really good match, 2-segment match, back and forth. Raquel using her power and just looking like an absolute monster in there. And Stephanie, doing everything she can with reversals and speed and whatever she could do. She hits the devil's kiss. She does the corner knee. She does the underhooks. Raquel kind of hits her with the big lariat. She spills to the floor. Raquel catches her. So Stephanie dives to the outside, and Raquel catches her. And when Raquel catches her, it looks like she's going to drive her into the post, but Stephanie slips out, and she actually puts Raquel into the post. And then all of a sudden, Nikki Bella shows up. She comes from behind, and she throws Vaquer into the post, which causes the DQ. And then Nikki throws Raquel into the post as well. And then she puts Stephanie into the barricade, and she takes her into the ring. She hits the Rack Attack 2.0. And that's how that segment goes. Adam Pearce basically told Paul Heyman that we need to know the Masked Man's identity by the end of the night. He demands it. We had Logan Paul versus Rey Mysterio. Good match, but Logan Paul ends up winning it because of the Masked Man. Rey hit a 619 on Logan Paul, and he was grabbing, and the brass knucks had already been tried by Logan Paul, so he hits a 619. The referee's checking on Logan. Rey is kind of near the ropes. He sees the brass knuckles. Rey grabs the brass knuckles, and as he's doing so, the Masked Man runs and gives him the stomp, and then Logan Paul hits the frog splash and beats Rey. And then Logan and the Masked Man stare at each other, but the Masked Man runs away when CM Punk comes back. He's got a chair. He comes back. The Masked Man stops. This is the main event, by the way. So the Masked Man stops on the steps, and then he pulls his hood down, and it is Austin Theory. That had been the rumor that it was going to be Austin Theory for a good while. Yeah. Punk's yelling at Austin Theory on the turnbuckles. He gets down. Braun Breaker's in the ring, spears the shit out of CM Punk. Braun kneels down. He tells Punk never to talk that way about his family again. He grabs the title, and he holds the title high as CM Punk is in pain on the mat. Good ending. I know they're not going to do it, but Braun Breaker should win that world title on January 5th. Won't happen. Won't happen, but it should. So that was Raw. I liked Raw. I thought Raw was pretty good. All right. When we head on over to AEW, Dynamite. Another good one. On Dynamite. This one was the Holiday Bash in the UK. And the Continental Classic just continues to heat up. The opening match was in the Blue League. It was Jon Moxley coming in with 3 points against Roderick Strong, who had 0 points. This match was awesome. They beat the crap out of each other. Just physical backbreakers, just pile drivers, just physical strikes. It was just my type of match. And Moxley gets the win. He hits him with the DDT. So I think Roderick Strong's going to end up being the guy in the tournament that gets close to 0 points, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Moxley now has 6 points, so he is tied for second in the Blue League. But this was a great opening match. We got a promo from Eddie Kingston talking about how he never quits because pro wrestling is everything to him. It's his heart, his life, and his soul. Sounded like Eddie Kingston. We're getting all the comments because as I'm recording this, Josh is live. So we're getting all the comments on the screen. So anybody that's watching this is just going to see, like, I don't know the context of that. It's quite incredible. We had the $1 million six trios match. It was the reuniting Elite, Kenny Omega, Matt Jackson, and Nick Jackson against the Callis family, who was Kazuchika Okada, Takeshita, and Hechicero. This match was very, very good. I love the dynamic because you were getting the miscommunications by Okada and Takeshita, and Hechicero was really just in the middle. He was absolutely in the middle, and he was, at one point he was like almost yelling at both of them, like, "Stop! Like, guys, like, focus!" It was really good. And the finish to this match I loved. It was a Meltzer driver, one winged angel combo, which fucking looked awesome. It was so good. And it was on Hechicero. And so after the match, Don Callis has the bag of money and he tries to leave with the money. And as he's doing so, Okada and Takeshita start taking the Young Bucks out. There's raging fires and rainmakers, and then there's like, they're kind of posturing to each other. They're like, "Oh, look what I can," like, they're one-upping each other by beating the shit out of the Bucks, right? Then they're getting a shoving match. Callis gets on the apron. He goes, but then Kenny Omega literally brings a broom into the ring, and he kind of shoos them off with the broom. And then the referee grabs the duffel bag and he gives it to all. So they're $1 million richer. This was a fun match. Really, really good. And then we got to this big promo segment. And this was the real big thing of the night. It was contract signing to the triple threat match for the AEW Men's World Championship at World's End. Hangman Adam Page makes his way to the ring. Shane Swerve Strickland makes his way to the ring. And then the champion Samoa Joe makes his way to the ring. Joe grabs the mic. He apologizes for bringing his colleagues Hook and Hobbs and explains he just wanted to make sure everybody was safe and there was nothing out here to trigger anybody to do something stupid. He says, "I'm not going to waste any more of my own time." He signs the contract. He bids everyone make it to the match in one piece. Swerve then speaks. He says if things have gone different, he'd be going after Hangman. But looking in his eyes, they both know they've grown a mutual respect in some weird way. And on top of that, there's mutual hatred for Joe. And the last time they had a contract signing, Samoa put him down so bad he had to sign his contract in a pool of his own blood. He goes, and if you remember, you took the title from me. I took the title from you after that. So again, I have many things to pay him back for. And he's going to take the title and leave a boot print so bad, so permanent, and so ugly that it'll be worse than that fake face tattoo he had back in 2007. So there you go. He signs the contract. Then Hangman goes, He kind of reminds all of them that just a few months ago, they were all on the same page to take Jon Moxley out and end the Death Riders' reign of terror. And if they had put it together and figured it out sooner, Joe might have been the one to beat him. He goes, the same with Swerve. But at All In, when they finally figured it out, it was left to him to get the job done, and he did it and became the world champion. He goes, I gave Joe an opportunity at Wrestle Dream, and he failed in that opportunity. So what did he do? He turned to Powerhouse, to Shibata, to Hook. He became worse than the Death Riders on their worst day. And he has the world title, but that's all he has because he has no self-respect or sense of dignity. And he'd hate in the twilight years of his career for Samoa Joe's legacy to be being remembered as the piece of shit he is today. He says that he's planning on defending the title against everyone who helped him out, against Darby, Will, and he knew there would come a time once again when he'd stand across the ring from Swerve. Strickland said he came back to AEW to challenge the world champion, and if it hadn't been Joe, it would have been him, and he would have given Shane the match he deserved, and had Swerve won, he would have handed the title over. But that's not the world they live in, and he doesn't know who's going to leave this three-way as champion, but he knows for damn sure it's not going to be Joe, who has messed up worse than he knows and making an enemy of the two of them. Hanger signs the contract. Tony's hyping it up. The lights go out. And then we see we hear the music, we see the Tron. MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, makes his way back, and he executes his contract, and he adds himself to this match. So at World's End, it will be a 4-way match for the AEW Men's World Championship. MJF tells Schiavone, he goes, get the hell out of the ring. He calls him a tub of, whatever. He goes, you're wondering why I would execute my contract to face 3 men instead of 1. He goes, since the inception of this company, Hangman has accused me of being a coward. When he was off filming a movie, he festered over it and realized maybe Paige is right. He goes, I want to hurt Hangman, and not just by taking his title, but by beating him and 2 of his greatest rivals in one fell swoop. So Paige and his fans have no excuses. And then Joe tries to talk, but MJF yells at him to shut his mouth and gets in his face. So that happened. He goes, if Samoa is mad and going to quote him being a supervillain soliloquy. He goes, I'm not afraid of Joe anymore. He goes, but he still hates him, and he's mad that he took the title from him. And unfortunately, these people decide who goes down as an all-time great, and he needs to go down as an all-time great. And Samoa put a speed bump to that. But it's all over now. He's going to make Joe fall back harder than his hairline. And at the same time he ended his title reign, Max is going to end his. Then Swerve says if there's anybody Max needs to be afraid of in this ring, it's him. And MJF goes, he says Strickland reminds him of a musician. This one, he goes, you remind me of a musician. You both call yourselves moguls. You're both dog shit rappers. He goes, okay, yeah, P. Diddy. He goes, whose house? Yeah, probably could have done something a little different. I didn't care about it, but he goes, we know each other pretty well, Swerve. He goes, we were grinding on the indies together. He goes, but I've known you as Shane. He goes, and while MJF came to AEW and became a greatest star in the history of the company, you went to WWE. And the crowd kind of goes, ooh. And he goes, well, it's a perfectly good company. He goes, but your run there? Not great. He goes, but I did thoroughly enjoy watching you twerk for top dollar. He goes, but then you came knocking on my door and I let you in graciously. You achieved great things. You became Jack. You won tag titles. And then you beat Sloppy Joe for the world title, which you held for 126 days. And then MJF leans in and he goes, 406 by the way. He goes, who's counting? He goes, but now we have a problem because you're in my way. He goes, you're stomping around like you own the damn place. He goes, but you've been a very messy tenant and the rent is due because this isn't your house. It's my house. And he goes, and the devil has come to collect. And he says, call me Michael Corleone because in one night he's going to handle all his family business. December 27th, I'm reclaiming my title, And do you know why? It's because his name is Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and he's better than you, and you know it. Very good. Very good. Liked it a lot. I thought it was good. We then had a 8-women tag. This was short, but very good. It was Athena, Marina Shafir, Megan Bayne, and Mercedes Moné versus the Babes of Wrath, the women's champions, and Timeless Tony Storm, the Timeless Love Bombs, Timeless Tony Storm, and Mina Shirakawa. The heels got the victory here with Mercedes pinning Willow, which I thought was a nice surprise. But that was a very good match. Not a ton of time it got, but it was a very, very good match. And then we had another Gold League matchup. Kyle Fletcher, who came in tied for the lead at 6 against Pac. This match was incredible. This match was incredible. This was just really, really good. Suplexes, Michinoku drivers, Orihara, a beautiful Orihara moonsault by Pac. At one point, Kyle hit the brutalizer. He had Pac had the brutalizer in while Fletcher was kind of standing up for a little bit. That looked pretty cool. Couple close calls where Fletcher got his foot on the rope and all things like that. There was like a suplex that he did into the barricade that Fletcher did to Pac that looked gnarly looking. But at the end of this match, Pac hit the Black Arrow. They were in, like I said, they were in the UK, which is Pac's home territory. So him hitting the Black Arrow, which he doesn't really use anymore, it felt right. It felt right. And he beats Kyle Fletcher. So now Pac has 6 points. The Gold League, there's a 4-way tie. Pac, Speedball, Fletcher, and Okada all have 6 points in the Gold League. So that's very intriguing. That's very intriguing over there. So we'll have to see where that goes. We then had the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal. Not the biggest Battle Royal, but it was pretty good. It was pretty good. Shelton Benjamin, Luchasaurus was in it. Dunkzilla, Mark Davis, Anthony Bowens, Platinum Max Caster, Bishop Khan. The other one, Toa Leona, Ricochet, Brody King, Bandito. This was good. This was a good little match. Again, not a ton of participants, but it got the job done. And towards the end of the match, the Gates of Agony were really working on Bandito, and Brody King came in and kind of charged with the big clothesline to kind of help his buddy out, and he accidentally eliminated himself, as well as Toa. And then that gave Bandito the advantage that he needed. And the way that this works is the last 2. The match stops when there's 2 because these guys are going to be fighting for the Diamond Ring next week. And those last 2 were Bandito and Ricochet. So pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah. I thought the third hour was kind of weak. Dorada and Orange Cassidy had a good match. They came in tied at 3 points in the Blue League. Orange Cassidy got the victory. So now he is up to 6. He is currently tied with Moxley, tied for second place, as Cesaro and Takeshita each have 7 because they've had 3 matches and they've won 2 and they drew with each other. So have to see where that goes. Isla Dawn and Jamie Hayter fought. Haterade was hit. Jamie Hayter got the victory. And then after the match, Triangle of Madness came out. They attacked Statlander. They attacked Jamie and Isla Dawn. Statlander made the save. And then this ended up being that Jamie Hayter accidentally hit. Who the fuck am I talking about? Yeah, Jamie Hayter accidentally hit Statlander with the Haterade. And then she kind of did the Michael Jordan yeah. And that's how that went. And then the main event of the evening, and this is a 3-hour Dynamite, by the way. The main event of the evening was the Bang Bang Game, Austin Gunn and Rock Hard, Juice Robinson against FTR for the AEW Men's World Tag Team Championship. This match was pretty good. I would say solid. And FTR ended up winning it with submission. At one point, towards the end of the match, they came off the rope and they hit Briscoe. They hit Juice Robinson right in the knee or ankle area, and then they cinched in the inverted figure four deathlock. Dax Howard did. Why can't I speak? Am I having a stroke? Dax Harwood did on Juice Robinson, and they retained the AEW World Championship. So that was the wrestling portion of the day. So now we're going to head on over to sports, and we're going to talk some NFL. It is week 16, baby. Damn, dude. And boy, oh boy, did week 16 start off hot, because I don't know if everybody got to watch this Thursday night football game, but my God, what a doozy that was. The Seattle Seahawks in overtime. They were down 30-14 with like 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And they win 38-37 in overtime. And the big, not controversy because it was the right call, but the big play of this was it's 30-14. The Seahawks return a punt for a touchdown. They go for two. They get it. It's 30-22. Rams have to punt. Sam Darnold throws a beautiful touchdown pass to the tight end Barner, and they need to go for a 2-point conversion. So when you're watching it, they do one of the screens where Darnold says hut, and he immediately turns and throws it. It's not like a bubble screen sort of, but it's just like a screen that he's going to catch and just try to get in there, right? The Patriots, oddly enough, in the Brady days ran this type of play a lot. So he does that. Darnold says hut. He throws it. The young, great defensive player, Jared Verse, for the Rams, it bounces off his helmet because he's just kind of charging to kind of break it up. It bounces off his helmet. The officials deem it incomplete. Whatever, it rolls into the end zone, and the backup running back, Zach Charbonnet, picks the ball up in the end zone. Not like he's doing, but he just kind of walks over and just kind of grabs it, right? Then all of a sudden, the announcers are like, hey, I think they're checking to see if this was a backwards pass. So then the referees are, on the headset looking at the replay for a good, probably close to, if not over 5 minutes. And they call that it was a backwards pass, which means it was a live ball. And when Zach Charbonnet picked it up, he was in the end zone, and they gave him the 2-point conversion, and they tied the game at 30 with like 6.5 minutes left to go. Incredible. I have never seen anything like that. That was crazy. It's the right call, but I feel like that's a rule that's going to change. It was the right call. Then they get to overtime. Puka Nacua catches a long touchdown pass. Rams go up 37-30. Puka Nacua had 225 receiving yards in this game. Matt Stafford threw for 457. He's going to win the MVP. Then the Rams get it. They score a touchdown, and McDonald, their coach, loved the balls, man. Love the balls. He says, fuck that. We're going for the win. They go for two. They get it, and they win. Hell of a game. Hell of a game to kick off the week. Real, real good. All right. We got a couple Saturday games. So as you're watching this, these games will be happening today. Saturday's loaded in general. We have 3 college football games in the playoff. The first one, as I record this on Friday, the first one is tonight. Alabama and Oklahoma is tonight. And then tomorrow we have 3 college football games, and there's 2 NFL games. So the early game tomorrow is the Philadelphia Eagles heading to Washington to play the Washington Commanders. Philly won the game last week relatively easily. They played the Raiders, so it wasn't like it was a hard game. Daniels, I believe, is still out. Philly is favored by 7. This is another game that I think Philly wins easily. And that's what I'm picking there. Then the night game is a good one. We just saw it a couple weeks ago where the Packers got the victory. However, last Sunday in Denver, not only did the Packers lose, but I would say an even bigger loss is Micah Parsons tore his ACL, and he is out for the year, which is just a huge loss for the Packers. And they're on the road Saturday night, 8:20 in Chicago. Basically, the division up for grabs here. The Bears need to win to stay alive. If the Packers win, I believe the Packers, I don't know if they officially will wrap it up, but it'll be pretty damn close. And I'm going with the Bears. I think at home, big primetime game, and with no Micah Parsons, I think that's a depleting injury. I think the Packers are still going to be good and clearly make the playoffs, and they could make a run. But Parsons was like really getting, like he's, it's an unfortunate loss. But I'm picking the Bears on that one. I'm picking the Bears. Then we get to Sunday. Some interesting games on Sunday, really. We got the 1 o'clock window. We got Buffalo heading to Cleveland. Buffalo is favored by 10.5 on the road. I think I take Buffalo with the points. But Buffalo should win that game. Again, Cleveland has a solid defense. Myles Garrett is an animal, but they're not going to be able to keep up with Josh Allen. So Buffalo takes that one. We then have Los Angeles, the Chargers, heading to Dallas. Dallas is actually favored in this game by 1.5. What disrespect. What disrespect. Chargers are 10-4. They just beat the Chiefs on the road last week. The Cowboys are 6-7-1. How on earth is Dallas favored? I know they're home, but how on earth is Dallas favored? That's ridiculous. But this to me feels like a game that Dallas wins because they just hang around. I'm picking Dallas. I don't know why, but I'm picking Dallas. Then we got this. The Kansas City Chiefs are heading to Tennessee to play the 2-12 Titans, who are 0-7 at home, by the way. Now, the Chiefs officially eliminated from the playoffs last week with their loss. They are 6-8, but kind of like the Packers, and this one is even more giant. Patrick Mahomes tore his ACL at the end of this game, so he is obviously out for the rest of this year, potentially into next year. Just a devastating loss. Again, I think they were losing the game even if Mahomes didn't get hurt. It felt like they were going to lose last week. So their season would have figuratively been over anyway. But that devastating injury. Devastating injury. The Chiefs are even still favored by 3, even though they're going to be on their backup quarterback. And I'm taking the Chiefs. I'm taking the Chiefs. Cam Ward has been playing a little bit better, but the Titans are god-awful. God-awful. We then have the 4-10 Bengals heading down to Miami to play the Miami Dolphins. The big news of the week is the Dolphins have benched Tua Tagovailoa. They're playing Quinn Ewers in this game. Cincinnati is favored by 4.5. I'm going to pick Cincinnati, but I'm very intrigued to see how Ewers plays. But yeah, I would think the Bengals are going to take that one. Then you get this doozy here. 3-11 Jets going down to New Orleans to face the 4-10 Saints. I think Tyler Shuck might be all right. Like, I don't think he's going to be anything like special or great, but I think he's serviceable. I think he might be all right. I'm picking the Saints. They're 4-10. I'm picking the Saints. Why not? They're favored by 6.5. That's how people feel about the Jets, bro. Brutal. We then have the Minnesota Vikings heading to New York to take on the 2-12 Giants. Minnesota is favored by 2.5. J.J. McCarthy had a good game last week. Minnesota bounced back and got a good win. I'm taking Minnesota here. I just think from a talent perspective, they are vastly superior to the Giants. And again, I feel like the only thing that makes me nervous is I feel like it's Jekyll and Hyde with J.J. McCarthy. I feel like he has one good game, and then he's the worst quarterback you've ever seen. Then he plays pretty good. Then he's the worst quarterback you've ever seen. So one would tell you that means he's due to be the worst quarterback we've ever seen this week. But the Giants are just so bad. They're just so bad. And then we have in my opinion, the marquee matchup of the 1 o'clock window. We get to see this matchup 2 times in the next 3 weeks. This will help determine who is going to win the NFC South. We have the 7-7 Tampa Bay Buccaneers heading to Carolina to take on my 7-7 Carolina Panthers. The Panthers really had an opportunity last week to put a stranglehold on the division and make the Buccaneers have to beat them twice in these 2 games. But they went to New Orleans and they choked. Listen, Tampa's favored by 3. They're getting healthy. They're much healthier. Bucky Irving's back. Mike Evans is back. They are definitely healthier, but I can't pick against my Panthers. They're pesky. They're good at home. They beat the Rams earlier this year. I am picking the Carolina Panthers to win this game at home. I am. All right. Then this is the marquee matchup of the day, y'all. This is the marquee matchup of the day. The 10-4 Jacksonville Jaguars are heading to Denver to take on the current number 1 seed in the AFC, 12-2, 7-0 at home. 7-0 at home. Mile High Stadium, obviously one of the bigger home field advantages. And the way it's looking right now, everybody's going to be having to go through there to get to the Super Bowl with Denver. Bo Nix had his best game of the year last week on Sunday afternoon. He was awesome in that Green Bay game. 4 touchdowns. He was great. The defense has been great every week. I'm picking the Broncos. I think they're going to go undefeated at home. This is going to be a good game, though, because the Jags defense doesn't fuck around either. This is going to be a defense. I think this is a low-scoring 17-10, 20-10, 23-13 type feel to me, where this is going to be hard-hitting, 2 fast, really good defenses, 2 well-coached teams. But at the end of the day, I think Bo Nix is pretty good. And even though he had an all-time performance and knocked me out of 2 fucking this is what I get for talking shit about Trevor Lawrence, is he knocked me out of 2 fantasy leagues last week. Pulled a horseshoe out of his fucking ass because he knew he was playing me. Well, guess what, pal? You still stink. I don't care if you get 8 touchdowns in one game. You still stink. I wouldn't have faith in you to win me a big game at all. You win this one, I might think differently. But to me, you still stink. But I'm taking the Broncos. That game should be really good, though. I'm excited about that game. We have the 5-9 Falcons going to Arizona to take on the 3-11 Cardinals. Who gives a shit? But I'm going to go with the Falcons. I think the Falcons are a little bit better, even though Jacoby Brissett probably buying himself a job. Like, if I'm the Cardinals, I would trade Kyler Murray in the offseason and just see if you can get some assets. And I would just roll with Brissett. And then, because this year's class is not great at quarterback, even though one of the guys will be good. Obviously, you would think. But, like, this is not a great class at quarterback. So I would trade Murray, get some draft assets, build the team. They're probably going to fire their coach, build the team. And I would roll with Brissett next year. And then I would draft a quarterback the following year when we should have some more we'll have more studs at the beginning of the draft. That's just me, though. But I'm taking the Falcons to win that game on the road. This is a good game. 8-6 versus 8-6. The Pittsburgh Steelers are heading up north to Detroit to take on the Lions. Detroit is favored by 7. I think that's about right. I know they have the same record, but Detroit to me is a far superior team. The Steelers are frauds. I'm taking the Lions. I actually think they win this game relatively easily. I think they're going to smother Rodgers. And it's not going to go well. We have the 2-12 Raiders in Texas, in Houston, playing all of a sudden the 9-5 Houston Texans, who are going to end up with double-digit wins after that start they had. This is the biggest spread of the week. They are favored by 14.5. The Texans are going to win this ball game. I don't know if they'll win by 2+ touchdowns, because offensively, Stroud looks like he's getting a little better the last couple of weeks, but offensively, they're still not potent. but their defense is fucking nasty, man. That defensive line is unbelievable. They're going to kill the Raiders, but I think I would take the Raiders with the points, though. Just saying. Just saying. And then we have Sunday night, prime time. This game was flexed. It is my New England Patriots, 11-3, 6-0, undefeated on the road this year. Heading into Baltimore, who are 7-7, and the Baltimore Ravens. Look at Patriots lost that game to the Bills. I'm not super upset about it. They hung around. Listen, you don't blow a 21-point lead. You were winning 21-0. You were winning 24-7 at home. I understand you're going against Superman, and Josh Allen is the best player in the league. There's no debate in my mind about it. That's a game you can't blow that type of lead. However, it's 35-31. They beat him earlier in Buffalo. The Patriots have proven they can hang with Buffalo. And I think sometimes it's a good learning experience. They won 10 games in a row. I don't think they were going to win out and they were going to lose again at some point. Is it a terrible loss? Yeah. Yeah, to a great opponent, but it's a bad loss the way it happened. That's a bad loss. But with that being said, I don't feel like horrendous about it. I really don't. If they lose this game, I'll feel a little different. I think they're better than Baltimore. I think they're better coached than Baltimore. Lamar still doesn't look like Lamar to me, but the Patriots defense is an issue. Milton Williams being hurt. The Patriots defense is an issue. They let up 5 unanswered touchdown drives in that second half of that game. And I get it. It's Josh Allen, and he was doing Josh Allen things. 5 straight can't happen. Can't happen. And Drake May has been excellent. I think he kind of lost his MVP candidacy with what he's done the last couple weeks and what Stafford did last night. Drake May's obviously been excellent, one of the best players in the league, but he's quietly not been great the last 2 to 3 weeks. Like, he's been good. Like, we're 2-1 in that, but he hasn't been to what he was doing earlier this. Like, I don't think he's hitting a wall or anything, but he's fighting better opponents. Like, we're seeing a little bit of struggles. Not everything is so smooth for him, but the defense is the issue. The defense is the issue. Milton Williams probably isn't coming back for at least a couple more weeks. That guy is the difference, because when he was there, we had the best run defense in the league, and we're like a sieve now. People they're just running all over us. And you're going against Derrick Henry doesn't make me feel good. Doesn't make me feel good. This is going to be a very tough game, but I think it's a good test, and I think we're going to get an idea of how the Patriots respond. Because that was a bad loss, but it could be a learning experience, and I believe Vrabel is the right type of coach to do that. That he'll be like, hey, guys, it's a bad loss, but how do we respond? How do we respond? You know me, I'm picking the Patriots. The Ravens are favored, dude. Disrespectful. 11-3. The Patriots are 11-3. We just lost for the first time in 10 weeks. And we're going to a 7-7 team. And the Ravens are favored by 3. That's disrespectful. I'm taking the Patriots. I'm nervous about this game. I wasn't really nervous about last week's game. I was excited about it, but I wasn't nervous about it because I was like, look, I think we should win, but as long as it's competitive, I'm good with whatever happens. This game, we need to win. The Patriots need to win this game. They should win this game, and I'm nervous about it because Baltimore at home, primetime, scary. And then we have Monday night, the San Francisco 49ers traveling to Indy to face good old Phillip Rivers and the Indianapolis Colts. They ended up losing that game to Seattle last week, but it was a field goal. Like, the Seattle field goal kicker got all the points. They won 18-16. He kicked 6 field goals. So if you had him in fantasy, bless. He probably got you 30 fucking points. Phil Rivers played all right in that game. Threw for like $180, had 1 touchdown, 1 pick. But he looked like he was, he didn't look out of play. He didn't look like a guy that hadn't played football in 5 years. What that says about the league, I don't know. But Listen, all right. The Niners are going to win this game. The Niners are going to win this game. The Colts are done, I believe. Still might sneak into the playoffs. They're still good. I think they have a good roster. But I think they're done. I think they were already starting to fade before the injury. And then the injury happened, and now they had to call a 44-year-old off the fucking couch to come play quarterback for them. So it is what it is, but I'm taking the Niners. And that is the week that is happening. Week 16, getting down to the nitty-gritty here. Only 2 more weeks after this, and then it's playoff time, baby. I will just say I hate my baseball team. Not the players, but I hate my baseball team. Still the only team in the league that has not signed a free agent. Bless. They were the interest kings over here. They were rumored to be in on Michael King. Resigns with the Padres. $25 million. They're not going to pay him that. Now we're hearing, they might go, Ketel Marte's name is still out there. There's a few other rumors of people that they might be going after. The real big thing is Alex Bregman. They let Pete Alonso go to the Orioles. They don't get Schwarber. So then everyone's like, all right, well, they're going to bring Bregman back. Well, the report is that Bregman's looking for 5 or 6 years. And the report is that the Diamondbacks have kind of swooped in, and they're willing to go 6 years here. So I think Bregman is kind of holding off, hoping the Red Sox kind of meet him somewhere in the middle, because I think Bregman actually wants to come back here. I do. But he's a Boris agent. He's going to go where the money is. That's what they do. And the Red Sox are not going to offer him the most money, especially if there's a team, any team, who's aggressive. I feel like, so there's a chance that Alex Bregman is somewhere else. And then what the fuck are the Red Sox doing? Because you told me, Craig, that you were going to get a number 2 pitcher and a bat or 2 for the lineup, and you've done nothing. Sonny Gray ain't a number 2. So I'm still waiting, Craig. Still waiting for us to do anything. It's embarrassing. My owner sold the Pittsburgh Penguins, though, the other day. So maybe that'll make sure. Maybe they're selling that. They'll get some extra money. Maybe we'll make a big move. I doubt it. He's probably just lining his pockets with more money because that's all he fucking cares about. He doesn't care about winning anything anymore. But we're still waiting. Red Sox Nation is still waiting. What's the fucking plan? If anybody could just tell me the plan, Craig, John, anybody, what is the plan for the Boston Red Sox? That's all I would like to know. I'm not going to go further into it because there's nothing to talk about because we haven't done jack shit. But what's the plan? Figure it out, find a path, and improve the team because you haven't. Go get Bo Bichette. Go trade for Ketel Marte. Figure it out. But right now, the team is worse than it was last year. And you told us it wasn't going to be. So fucking figure it out. All right, that's going to be it for the Swarm, guys. Appreciate you all hanging in. I hope everybody has a wonderful Christmas. I should be back on the 27th. We're going to be previewing World's End, which is next Saturday. So there will be an episode of The Swarm here next Saturday previewing NFL and World's End. So I will be here. We're not taking any time off. There is kind of a mini break. There's still going to be content, but it's going to be far less. Like the watch parties are taking a break. After this weekend, the High View is taking a break. But I'll be here with The Swarm next Saturday, as you should expect, previewing World's End, talking about this weekend of NFL games. If, God forbid, there's any big baseball breaking news in the whole league or for my team, which I'm fucking begging. But yeah, I'll be here next week. So click that bell for notifications. Give a thumbs up to the video. Share it out. Follow me at JPJ Loves Gaming. I appreciate you all. We here at the Hive appreciate you all. Have a very, very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. And I will see you next week. Till then, peace out.